Hey, so this is episode 5 of this channel, and I wanted to take this time to kind of describe who I am, where I came from, and I thought would be a good way to do it since we are doing leadership training today. I might be able to get you an idea of where I developed some of my leadership stuff and what I need to work on. So, my career started in this industry in 1999. I went to Volkswagen school after UTI, and I worked at different VW dealers outside of Philadelphia. Soon after that, I had my own shop, VW Audi store. I did some other Euros and some other, normal car stuff. And at the time, I was really, it was a hobby shop. I couldn't tell you how much money I made. I mean, I paid my taxes and that kind of thing. But we're talking handwritten repair orders. I have no idea what my best month was. All I could tell you is that I had pretty darn low overhead, and I had always had a big old wad of cash in my pocket. I had a tow truck. I had 4 lifts, about a 2,000 square foot shop. I would work on cars, customers' cars, until about 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, and then I would work on my own projects. It was fun, but I didn't want to repeat it when I started this venture, right? Almost, well, now it's 20 years later. So it was probably about 16 years difference between the two. So then, basically, after when I had my shop, I did close it down in 2009. So I had that for about 3 years. And the reason I closed it is because I couldn't turn it off. Okay. I'm the kind of person that would just work and work and work. And I always wanted my time, and I was really selfish with it. I was married. I had 2 kids. I had a crazy dog at home. One of my kids was a newborn, and I just didn't go home. And it's not fair to the wife. We never really discussed it, but divorce was probably going to happen, just because it just wasn't fair. And I kind of know myself, and I can't really, like I said, turn it off. So we met in Chicago, and I had a pretty good reputation at Volkswagen, and I had the local area rep reach out to the local area rep out in Chicagoland, and I had 3 jobs lined up. It took me about 6 to 9 months for me to kind of push my customers off, sell my equipment, and then close the business down. And the goal was to go out there and start turning some serious hours and making some money with, no responsibility. Go home at 6, 7 o'clock at night instead of not going home and pulling all-nighters at least once a week. When I did that, those 3 jobs I had fell through, and I started working at a Meineke with a potential to buy that store. And it just wasn't right. I didn't really want to get into a franchise. So then I decided I was going to try to be either a fireman or a police officer, and I was shooting for a police officer, job. And then I realized, to get kind of a one-up on the competition, for the candidates was, military. And I said, well, I can go down and maybe join the reserve and do that. I wouldn't mind serving the country, right? And once I got down to the recruiter's office, I was like, well, wait a minute, I need a full-time job. Why not just serve full-time? Maybe I can get a whole nother career. So I decided to go into something called Prime Power, which was, at the time, it was it still is, I think it's a 12P. It's an engineer section. You work on high voltage stuff, transformation, distribution, line work, that kind of thing. Now, you can't get into that job directly from basic training. It was called a BEAR program. You had to do 2 years in, regular Army, and then you would put a packet in and get accepted if you passed the pretty hard test. And I was fortunate enough to put a packet in for something different while I was in my specialized training for generator mechanic. Was the first job I had, and I wanted that one as a baby version, learn AC voltage a little bit more. And I put my packet in to join 160th Special Operations, and I got accepted. So I got into Special Operations immediately after AIT. And let me tell you, if for anybody that was interested in joining the Army, you definitely want to try to get into Special Operations. It is way more fun, way more, the way higher op tempo. The budget's higher. You have better equipment, better tools. It's just everything is better. Better budget for training. And so we went into that, and I got really comfortable. And I continued being a generator mechanic for a long time, and I kind of ran out of growth in that unit, and I basically reclassed finally. And so I switched over to Prime Power. I did that for a few years, did that mission. It was very good, ton of experience. I met some pretty good dudes. And then I kind of had enough of regular Army, and I put another packet in to go back into special operations. I got accepted. And then I got hurt in 2021, and I had spine surgery. And after surgery, I kind of realized there's a pretty significant chance I may not be able to fully recover. So I started a mobile mechanic business just in preparation of getting out as a second plan. And that's what did happen. So I started this mobile mechanic business part-time while I was still in the Army. I ended up getting medically retired, and my body still wasn't fully recovered. So I took a job working at a chemical plant outside of Fayetteville, and ran their power distribution there was 3 different companies on that 22-acre facility. And that was a decent job, but it was pretty much like 80 to 90% desk work. And that's just not who I am. I told my boss that I need dirty fingernails. So now I'm a shop owner, and I sit at a desk anyway, right? So it's funny just how things work out that way. So that's kind of my background of, where I'm at. So we've been in business now as a brick and mortar. I only carried on the mobile business just a few months after I left the chemical plant. And then we started a brick and mortar in January of 24. So we're just coming up past 2 years in business. Okay, that's my background on that. What I want to touch on is, the leadership training that we're taking today. I wanted to share some of that with you, and then I wanted to share where some of my other leadership attributes or my pitfalls, kind of land, and give you some food for thought and things that you might want to work on. Right, Josh Purnell and his partner, they're doing really good things and are making a lot of really good improvements in a lot of shop owners' lives and shops. Right, they're not just for shop owners, so they do a lot. They said that most of their clientele are actually managers and not even the owner themselves. So what kind of shaped my leadership is, I had really good parents always looking for, my best interest. And I was not an awesome kid. I got into some decent trouble and that kind of stuff, but probably a little bit more than normal, but, nothing too crazy, right? So that was a really big thing. That kind of shaped me as like adolescence. My first job at the dealership was at Jim Wynn Volkswagen. I had an awesome service director, and he really took time not to shove me in flat rate directly out of school. So I was hourly for the first 2 years, really learned the product, kind of honed my skill set. And that really helped tremendously with being a good quality technician. There was things, of course, I can't figure. I mean, now I can't figure stuff out too, right? But that was, if I didn't have him doing that, then I may not even be a mechanic anymore. Because those guys, they wash out because they get treated so poorly. He didn't do that. And then soon after he left, there was another guy that was a really good boss too, and he doesn't know it, but he definitely was influential in who I am as a leader and as a technician, and his name was Kevin Levinston. Now, Kevin ended up getting his own shop. He left the dealer world and got his own shop, worked at his childhood shop that he worked at when he was a kid. And he's still in business, and he's still a good friend, and he reaches out with advice and that kind of stuff pretty often. And I appreciate it immensely. So those two people, in career-wise, really kind of gave me an idea of who I aspire to be when I'm in that position. Okay. Then when we transitioned into being an owner the first time, that scared me a lot because I was not ready to lead people. I tell people that I didn't fully mature. I'm still not mature. I didn't fully mature as an adult, in my opinion, until I was about 26 years old. That's when I realized that, hey, you cannot just be an asshole, and you have to be able to be nice to people and treat them with respect and empathy. And at that time in my career, we got so busy at my first shop that I needed to hire somebody, and I did not want the responsibility of paying someone a livable wage that they were worth. And that, and combined with what I told you, where I was just going home all the time, it's just not, or not going home, it was not going to work. And I was not ready for that kind of level of responsibility. So when I joined the Army, I've had some excellent leaders and I had some terrible leaders. And one of the leaders that I had was the worst, probably one of the worst people I've ever met. And this guy continues to succeed in the Army. He was so bad that when he got fired, there were 3 people that were trying to claim that they're the reason why he got fired. So just kind of keep that in perspective, right? And the reason why those leaders are important is because it realizes, or it makes you, it forces you to realize, or it should, I hope, who you don't want to be. You remember those things and how it made you feel and what they did wrong so you don't do those things, okay? They are important. It sucks at the time, but you have to learn to take that and turn it into something positive. So just keep that in mind. The next leader I had was one that I would consider one of the best leaders I ever met. When I first met this person, I did not care for him at all. His name is Eddie Calderon. This guy is squared away. He absolutely cares. He pushes you to make yourself better. He is an awesome dude. He's extremely successful now in real estate. He just retired from the Army, and he's doing really well for himself. So I'm really proud of him, and I don't know if he understands, how important he was for my military career. There's also been other leaders too that have been great, but those 2 are the ones that I remember the most, the worst and the best. Okay. So why does the Army push leadership? It's because they're a promote from within, right? You just don't hire a first sergeant or a sergeant major off the street and say, you're going to run this organization with 2,000 people in it. It doesn't work that way. Not like in a civilian sector. So they're always pushing for the lower enlisted, used to, and they still do. They look at your performance and potential. So we used to get rated on that, and you always want to have highest potential. Your performance can change depending on what missions you were doing at that time and how well you executed them, and then you get rated against your peers. So you're always going to be looking at potential, and you really are concentrating also on performance. When you are a junior enlisted soldier, you're being counseled every month on what you are doing and then what you're going to make yourself better at. And as you grow up through the ranks and you become, a corporal or a sergeant in the Army, you now have Joes underneath you, and it's your job to lead, coach, and develop those guys. So you learn how to be a leader. The Army leadership stuff, if you ever want to get into that doctrine, they have some field manuals that are very, very short, easy to read, because people in the Army, they don't really read that well. So they'll usually try to write those things out like an 8th grade level, right? So they're very easy to read, and you can pick up a lot of good things from those things. So then as you grow up through the ranks, you realize that you're now in charge of more people and more people and more people. And what you're held accountable for is everyone underneath you, but you're responsible for the ones that you are personally counseling. So as you go up through the ranks and you become an owner or a manager or a shop foreman, you might have accountability for everything, but you may not be responsible for all of that. And that's one thing you have to keep in mind, that when you are leading those guys, you want the people underneath you to understand your core values, so that way they can put that stuff and your vision, and it trickles down. And remember too that it's best to lead from the bottom up, right? You want those guys to have the same vision, and everyone is a leader. Everyone has a sphere of influence that you guys have. You don't have to be in a management position to be a leader. Some of the most respected guys would be underneath you, and you look at them Now you may outrank them, but they can be talked to like a normal person, right? The amount of stripes on your chest change what your accountability and who you're responsible for, but that doesn't mean that they have to be disregarded. So remember, even if you are just a technician, it's just like tuning in on this because you're thinking about getting into a shop or whatever the case is, everyone is a leader. All right. Um, One thing too, the Army definition of leadership. This has been a while since I did this. This is a study question when you have to like get promotion boards. It's really close to this. Leaders lead by offering direction, motivation, and lead others by offering direction, motivation, and something else to meet a common goal, right? So you this is like the why. You have to understand the why. In the Army, sometimes you can't. There's not enough time to explain the why. That's why there's a rank structure. You have to listen to the boss and just get it done. As long as it's moral, not immoral, not unethical, and legal. Execute, and then afterwards, you might want to talk about why you're trying to do that. It's really important. The why is probably one of the most powerful things to be able to lead, coach, and develop, right, and meet that common goal. The other thing about leadership is that you want to be in a point of slight discomfort. Your growth, typically, you want to be capable and understand a basic knowledge, and then be able to have the left and right limits kind of set to know if I get beyond this, I'm out of my scope, right? But growth happens when you're uncomfortable. So don't be afraid to move forward in something that makes it uncomfortable or you're in uncomfortable. That's what you want. The best people, leaders, coaches, bosses, owners, they're always going to want to seek improvement. You're not going to improve unless you go into the uncomfortable zone. Okay. So don't be afraid of that. Now, that is like my little spin on leadership. What the biggest thing of this episode that I didn't mention in the intro is that the community that you are a part of, that is leadership. Okay. What you want to do is surround yourself with people that ask to help you. You want to find those people. If you have to ask for help, that's absolutely fine, and I want you to do that. But the best people are say, what can I do to like help you, or what can I do to make this easier? Those are the people that really want to see you grow as a human, as a boss, as an owner. The time that there's one event that changed my life as an owner. Like it's probably never going to be topped. When I listened to Changing the Industry podcast, it was when I was, still in the Army, listening, and they mentioned ASTA in Raleigh. The first time I went to ASTA was 2023. I met my best friend there. Okay, we were both mobile mechanics, and we're not the mobile diag guys. Well, he probably has a little more stronger diagnostic ability than I do, but we were the mobile not tires. We were the mobile brakes, water pump, check engine light kind of guys. So we automatically clicked. We were still offering a high quality product, good warranty, those kind of things, but we're looking to grow. That organization is amazing. The convention is better. Okay. The convention, you will meet people. If you go to any training conference, I don't care if it's ASTA, Vision, Tools, STX, SEMA, none of that stuff is bad. Okay. A lot of them are expensive. Some of them are less expensive. ASTA, in my opinion, has got to be one of the least expensive. It's got to be the best bang for the buck. Even with airfare, if you're far away, it's awesome. Okay. That amount of community that you are able to develop and talk to different people and form these relationships with other shop owners. These people that go to these conventions are in the top percentage of technicians, owners, and advisors They are absolutely trying to make a difference. So when you meet these people, you're already on a common page, and you're going to excel because you're surrounding yourself with people you aspire to be. That is extremely important. You know, you want to be in a room. Would you rather be in a room of your friends that are drug addicts or your friends that are millionaires? Well, there's a better chance that you're going to become a millionaire or a better shop owner if you're around people that are better shop owners. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I went there without knowing anybody, and I came out of there within a year. I made a ton of connections, and now 2 years in, I made a lot of friends throughout North Carolina, especially, and it is life changing. Okay, I absolutely mean it. The community aspect is just it's just crazy, the amount of support that you get. All right, and the support that you get from these people, it's free. All right, everybody wants to help each other. Of course, there are businesses in place to be able to make money doing some of these things, but a lot of them, I'm telling you right now, they will give you their ear, and they will give you some guidance to make sure that you are able to succeed. So enjoy this video. It's a little bit different. Please share it with anybody that is looking for some help. Please comment down below. I'm in the comments all the time. All right. I want to be able to help. Okay. All right. I'm going to release a video tomorrow, more than likely, and it's going to be just some different stories in the shop. All right. Till next time.